event will reference the population of the prisons, because the population of the prison relative to what it was in the 90s is not higher. Do you get my point? And I think we need to qualify these things, because if we don't, we will continue speaking from positions of ignorance and give currency to things that are not factual. Our role in this administration and our role in the ministry is to provide the populace with factual information. But we're committed to do everything possible to not only address the issue of the backlog, but to ensure that people who are aggrieved, irrespective of the social circumstance, can have access to the court. And as I made reference just now to access to the court, now we do not really give the kind of value and currency to the legal aid services that we provide in this country, where scores of people for multiple issues go to the legal aid for actually assistance at almost no cost. And in cases where you have people who are charged for murder, legal aid provide, through the instrumentality of the government, provide representation, because access to court also means you having a right, the ability to retain a lawyer. And we're saying that even if you're not able to pay a lawyer, there ought to be systems in place to allow you to have access to a lawyer, so you can actually, defend yourself. And I think all those things that we're doing, we do not actually speak about these things, but I want to take this opportunity also to place on the record my appreciation for the tremendous work Mr. Allen has been doing for the people of Dominica. And he was actually involved in doing work freely. For matter of fact, when he got his first check, he said to me, Mr. Minister, that was the first time I got paid, the first time I got a salary in a number of years. I felt very sorry for an adult to have spoken to me that way, almost. And it speaks about how humble this guy is. And I believe that the leadership is providing to the legal aid department and the people of this country, okay, exemplifies the humanity in this guy. Do you get my point? And then we need to have more people of that prototype, if at all we are to ensure that the whole issue of access to justice and making sure that everybody, even if you cannot afford, can be provided with an attorney. And that's what the legal aid provides. So the whole issue of access to justice, the whole issue of administration of justice should not be tied down and given a one-dimensional connotation. It encompasses much more than that. Now the issue about backlog sometimes, and I believe we are trying to attempt in the ministry to create an environment where magistrate can spend more time on the bench. But that is for the chief magistrate and the court administrator in doing the scheduling to ensure. But I can speak about it as a minister and as a Dominican. Do you get my point? We, the permanent secretary has been instructed to advertise for additional magistrates. In the recent past, an additional magistrate was appointed, a young lady from the village of Taro, and that brings the complement to 6. From my advice, from what I've heard, she has not taken the oath yet, Chief Magistrate? Chief Magistrate? She has not taken the oath? Yet, right. But when she takes the oath, it will bring the complement to 6. And our intention is to have a minimum of 8 magistrates. And so the advertisement will be out, and people who are interested. It will be better. Sometimes before, we used to have a number of magistrates from overseas coming to our shores, and I believe that's an area we're also exploring. And it's a very small country, a very small communities, and sometimes you need to have the magistrates from overseas to come in, especially when one takes into consideration the challenges we're having now with gun-related crimes. As we depart from the gun amnesty program, we are now in a mood whereby people who are caught with illegal firearms should feel the heat and the weight of the law. So it's important that the magistrate that we actually engage, actually come in and at least can give you, at least for the first 6 months, some serious. I'm not saying, I'm not casting any aspersion. I'm not saying, but in my days as an investigating officer, we had a number of magistrates overseas at Raro, a number of them, and they did a tremendous job, and we're hoping to actually, in our effort to get additional magistrate, that we can attract a few magistrates from overseas. We have the magistrate who's now stationed in Marigot. It is from Sri Lanka, and I think that everybody is actually invited to apply. But I'm just saying that sometimes you may want to look at that direction to see whether we can. Okay, this Matthew saying he want to be a magistrate. Well, apply. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. So we will now return to the chief magistrate.
Thank you very much. 1 second. I will now call on the Chief Magistrate, Mrs. Kandekari George, to give her presentation.
All right, thank you, PS. Pleasant good morning to everyone here. I should recognize the presence of the persons at the head table, the Honorable Minister for National Security, our Permanent Secretary, Ms. Commodore, the Acting Chief of Police, Mr. Corbett, and the Acting Assistant Chief, Mr. Maxime, yes. And all the other officers from the rank and file of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force that are present, and the members of the media, good morning to you. I have been asked to speak a little bit to the backlog that exists currently at the Magistrates Court and how are we dealing with it. The issue of a backlog is something that is present in most magistrates' courts across the world due to the nature of the work that we do. There are many matters that keep cases from going forward, or I should say going forward in a timely fashion. For example, poor service of summons, non-execution of warrants, counsel being engaged at the High Court. Sometimes it takes a lot of time for the police to compile files. Unavailability of witnesses or accused absconding, among other things. Attention is, however, always paid to the backlog. And it is something that we are actively seeking to address from a magistrate's court perspective. The following methods have been utilized to address the backlog. In preliminary inquiries, to cause the matters to proceed to trial in a timelier fashion, we do not always adduce evidence from all of the prosecution witnesses. The prosecution is encouraged to produce witnesses sufficient to ensure that a prima facie case has been established. Then, notice can be given of additional witnesses whose evidence will be adduced from at the High Court. So this speeds up the manner in which preliminary inquiries go through. Also, the Director of Public Prosecutions has been utilizing processing indictable matters, that is the real serious matters, those that go to the High Court, via the route of paper committal. This is a method allowed by our law, where witness statements are presented to the court, and these statements are admitted as witnesses' evidence in chief. This eliminates the need for witnesses to stand in court for long hours giving viva voce evidence in person. This saves tremendous court's time and allows matters, especially those with several witnesses, to proceed quickly. For example, you would have heard about the alleged double homicide which took place in Soufriere in 2023. We were able to commit this matter to the High Court for trial sometime last week. With 40 witnesses, there is no way it could have been completed in just a little over 2 years. Had it not been for the use of paper committal, it would have taken a very long time to call all of these 40 witnesses to give evidence and then to be cross-examined. Definitely the matter would have dragged on for years. So paper committal really helps matters to go through quickly. As magistrates, we sometimes advise the prosecution to reduce simple indictable matters to summary ones so that they can be easily disposed of. For example, something like burglary. Burglary really is you break and enter into somebody's property without their permission, and with intent to most likely steal or do something illegal. And let's say somebody enters a shop or enters a home and they steal some cheese and and a bread and maybe a little radio, value $250, and then they are charged with burglary because indeed it was burglary. They broke and entered somebody's home. But because of the value, to speed up the process, we would advise the prosecution just charge them for theft of $150. So then it's reduced from indictable to summary, and then we can dispose of it quickly. So these things we encourage when the value is minimal. Not that we're minimizing the crime, but just to ensure that things go forth speedily. In our family court setting, mediation, roundtable discussion, and other alternative dispute resolution strategies are used to assist. Case management is being implemented to a certain extent. So some matters are put on the list just to ascertain where we are at, and they are only set for trial once we are sure that the prosecution is ready. Special fixtures are often set in the afternoons, and for the most part on the magistrate's office days, just to ensure that time is allowed so that significant work can be done to push these matters forward. I know most of the media here, you're familiar with how the magistrate court operates. So we have a list and we come in the mornings, and what we do is we go through the list. But if you have a lot of arrests, if you have a lot of bail applications, it is quite possible that you could spend all morning adjourning your list, dealing with arrests, dealing with bail applications, and the matters that are actually ready for trial, you don't really get sufficient time to make any inroads or spend any significant time on them. So because of that, what we do is if there's a matter that's ready to proceed, we don't put it on our regular day. To allow the time, we say, okay, put it on my office day, or put it on a day, put it in an afternoon when there's nothing much happening, so that we can get them through more quickly, take more witnesses in the matter, and so on. Some matters are transferred from one court to another to speed up processes. For example, one magistrate sends matters from the criminal court to the traffic court. Sometimes the traffic list, it gets adjourned because a lot of no service, and instead of ending traffic court at 11 a.m. or 11:30, we would send matters from the criminal court to the traffic court so that it can go through in a timelier fashion. We send matters from Roseau to country court. So I'm just explaining procedures where things we do to speed up processes. We send matters from Roseau to country court. So if we look at the list in Castle Bruce and we realize 3 matters on Castle Bruce list, there's a matter that's ready for trial, the lawyers agree, the witnesses agree, you want to go to Castle Bruce to do your matter so that it can go through faster, they agree, we just move it to Castle Bruce, and when the magistrate is finished with his Castle Bruce list, he finishes early, he can just move on to other matters and get more work done. Also, we move matters from the country court to Roseau a lot to facilitate doctors. You would appreciate that doctors are very busy people. A lot of them, they have surgery days, they have clinic days, they have different things. And when there's a matter in La Plaine or Castle Bruce or Grand Bay, sometimes it's difficult for them to get out of the Dominica China Friendship Hospital and get to these out-district locations. So what we do to facilitate them, we move the matters from the out-district to Roseau, where it's easier for them to come. So we do things to speed up access to justice and to cause the matters to go through more quickly. We oftentimes work through our lunch hour and go beyond 4 p.m. when necessary, just to see cases move. I am truly grateful to the hardworking clerks of the Magistrates Court who sit with us and do not complain even when we work them through a time when they were supposed to have gotten a break or have gone home. At the Magistrates Court, we are working with the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs to find the most workable solution. And this will include trying to find different tactics and methods. In the upcoming months, more will be done, such as the engagement of new magistrates and adjustment of the court hours to include night court. As we seek to prepare for night court, meetings have been held with magistrates, magistrates court staff, the executive of the Dominica Bar Association, and the police. And I am confident that those discussions will continue as we keep putting measures in place. In order for night court to succeed, the police and the bailiffs must be diligent and ensure that there is proper service on persons who are to attend court. On the clerical side, we are ensuring that cases are properly scheduled. At the Magistrates Court, we deal with a large volume of cases, to include civil. So we deal with all civil matters that are under $10,000 in value. If somebody owes somebody that amount and they are not paying, they sue them, we deal with those. In terms of civil, we deal with all inland revenue matters. It doesn't matter the value, it could go up to how many hundreds of thousands. We deal with all credit union matters. It doesn't matter what is owed. The law gives us the authority to deal with all. We also have jurisdiction to deal with all social security matters, regardless of the value. So it's a lot in terms of just civil. We deal with all maintenance matters, affiliation matters, custody matters, access matters, that's in the family court. We deal with criminal matters, both summary and indictable, because the indictable ones, as I said, we would have to take the evidence and determine whether a prima facie case has been established, whether or not to commit to the High Court. We deal with all traffic matters. So from a thing as simple as a traffic ticket that's not paid to causing death by dangerous driving, we deal with all traffic matters and everything in between. We deal with juvenile matters, domestic violence matters, child care and protection, inquests, liquor licenses, among others. Matters are being filed every day. So, although we are disposing of many matters, sometimes the cases are being filed faster than we can dispose of them. We have, however, with the exception of the COVID period, for the most part, been successful in reducing this backlog by a little bit every year. For example, for the period 1st of July 2024 to the 30th of June 2025, a total of 2,358 cases were filed, while 2,471 were disposed of. So we see the backlog in that instance was reduced by 113 cases. As more magistrates and new strategies are established, I am confident that we will make greater inroads into the existing backlog. The entire Magistrates Court staff will continue to do all in our power to ensure that we continue to realize a reduction in the backlog until the backlog becomes insignificant. Thank you.
Chief, thank you very much for that comprehensive outline. We appreciate. I will now call on the Acting Chief of Police, Mr. Lincoln Corbett, to give his presentation.
Good morning. The Honorable Minister of National Security and Legal Affairs, Mr. Reuben Blackmore, Chief Magistrate Dominica George, PS, the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs, Ms. Joanne Commodore, Mr. Jeffrey James, Deputy Chief of Police, acting, Mr. Alan Maxime, Assistant Chief of Police for Ops and Crime, acting, other rank and file of the police force, the media, and those listening and viewing, good morning. My task this morning is a very simple one. Just to outline for you, in a brief manner, the role of the police, in securing or ensuring that the court functions properly. So in keeping with the mandate of the Ministry of National Security to enhance the efficiency, access to the court, and also to reduce the backlog to the court, the police force is committed to ensuring that all measures are in place, all security measures are in place to ensure that court runs smoothly. And they will include, among others, enhanced screening at the court, additional officers to provide security at the court, both within the court and also within precincts of the court, and also a dedicated prosecutor. You will have heard the court will deal with civil and criminal matters. So in the case of criminal matters, we must have a prosecutor on hand. So we'll support the court to ensure that all functions of the court, where it relates to the police, is dealt with professionally. So we pledge, that's our pledge to the magistracy, and in that regard. There's still some time on the podium just to inform that this year again we'll observe Police Week from September 21st to 28th of this year. We'll observe Police Week under the theme Serving with Pride, Protecting with Purpose. So Police Week 2025, September 21st to 28th this year. Again, I'm still in time, but we'll have a series of activities, to include a church service at the Lapin Catholic Church. We'll also have a parade in the streets of Lapin on that day. Again, the date will be given, and also we'll give all other details as it relates to that. We'll have, again, social nights, gospel night, exhibition, among others, and I said the church service. We'll also have a panel discussion on mental health, among others. So again, we'll give more details as the days get closer, but just to invite all to be part of our celebration this year, as we celebrate and recognize the efforts of the police for the year. Again, just to reiterate, we are committed, we are ready to support the court in all aspects as it relates to security. So rest assured, members of the public, night court, yes, but the police will be there to ensure that the environment is safe and ought not to fear coming to court, whether it be at 8 o'clock in the night or at 9 in the night. You'll have additional adequate security to ensure that is done. Thank you, and thank you very much.
Before we have some brief interaction with the press, I call on the minister again to give some closing remarks so that we can move into the interaction with the press.
Okay, thank you, Madam PS. Thank you to the Chief Magistrate. I want to present the record also my appreciation and that of the government. After Hurricane Maria, the Chief Magistrate, who is from Portsmouth, actually hitched ride to get into town in order to actually ensure that the case files and the records of the court were actually saved. Can you imagine that? And then they had to also reconstruct case file, especially the DPP office after Maria. So we have actually seen, or we have evolved from Maria to now where we're now at in terms of the improvement we have made in every aspect of ensuring, one, better accommodation and additional magistrates, etc., and ensuring that the access to justice in itself is actually enhanced. As insofar as it relates to service, when we say service, it means that the police officers have to serve the people, what are witnesses, with what you call a summons. And in a number of cases, if people are not served on time, they do not show up. So in order to mitigate against that, we had given the instruction for the police and the magistracy to have met. And that was done on several occasions, and to ensure that all issues could have been disposed of, and to ensure that absolutely, in the areas where we have problems, where people are not being served, that the officers in the various districts will be so informed and so supervised to ensure that people who are supposed to be at court are actually served in a timely basis in keeping with the prescription of the law. Another area I think that we need to give more attention to is the area of inquests. A number of times you have people who have died suddenly, and you have to have an investigation, and family members want to move on, okay? And they want to get the death certificate. And a number of cases, if the matter is not really a criminal matter, like I suppose it's not a murder in itself, there is no reason why an inquest should be taking that long. So I believe that extension of the hours provides for a number of opportunities to address some of these issues. Because, I mean, you know, a number of times people don't talk about it. But as the minister, a number of people have been calling me as to how we can facilitate the speeding up of coroner's inquests. Because that in itself can actually negatively impact people. I mean, insofar as the people's estate is concerned, and you have people with wills and stuff, the probating of wills and all these things. So you have a number of attendant issues when you have situations whereby inquests take a long period of time before they're disposed of. So, one, the issue of service, Mr. Commissioner of Police, I'm hoping that that is not going to be an excuse for the Night Court not to operate. We have to be steadfast and to ensure that all the players with the respective roles to be played do so in the most efficient manner. And Night Court is working in other countries. We have the accommodation, we are working on additional magistrate. There's absolutely no reason. But too often, I even heard from some people who are officers of the court, they said you need daytime, they are busy. But if you're busy, you need daytime. Now we have later in the afternoon and into the night where you can attend to your client's business at the court. So it's the flexibility for everyone that is, to me, that has been afforded in that situation. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions from the press?
Yes, I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
My question is for the Chief Magistrate. What are some of the setbacks or some of the challenges? Sorry. My mind? I don't know. What are some of the challenges, Chief Magistrate, do you see? Introducing or reintroducing night courts in Dominica. What are some of the challenges you see? And yeah, you can ask. I want to ask the minister questions, so you can answer one.
So I can say the answer.
No, I'd rather you go.
Can we also pose the next question to you whilst you're there?
Yes, you can.
And the next, just before you answer that one, because you'll be already on the podium, it's been a while we've been hearing about an additional magistrate. Why this magistrate has not yet taken her oath? She's been doing the understudy work. It's been a long time. Why? What is the hold up? Why this magistrate has not yet taken her oath? Can you please also address that?
All right, so Mr. Matthew, you're asking some of the challenges that I see?
Yes.
Okay, well, with everything, there will always be challenges. We live in a society where perhaps some court users don't own private vehicles. They may need to take the bus. So in order to address that, we would have to probably look closely at the cases that we schedule for night court to ensure that it's people that live within close proximity and that have access to Roseau during the night, because we're really not trying to inconvenience anybody. We're trying to increase their opportunities. Another challenge would be probably our lighting, our security at the court, but the ministry is working on that to provide increased lighting. The police have guaranteed, we just heard the chief of police say that they will ensure that we have proper security at nights. So probably the things that we perceive may be challenges, they will be easily dealt with. So these are some of the challenges I see.
What about the employees who work until 10 o'clock? I think, as I heard, the courts may go to 10 o'clock in the night.
Right.
Are these expected to work next morning at your court? Will these officers be allowed to work next morning? Those who work, let's say, up to 10 o'clock in the night.
Well, night court will run from 1 to 9. So,
1 to 9, not 1 to 10.
no, not to 10. We plan to end that by 9. And the officers that have volunteered are people that own vehicles, so I don't see it as being a problem. Yes.
Another matter has
Your question is mainly administrative, Mr. Carlisle John Baptist. So I would think it is something that probably the PS maybe would be better able to answer. But from what I know, everything has been sent to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. So as soon as we get feedback from them, she should be able to take her oath.
But it's taking longer than you anticipate.
It is, but certain things take some time.
Well, Carlisle, I've been here a while, and it is long, but it's not longer than I've ever seen, if you understand what I mean. So the chief magistrate summed it up very well. It really is an administrative issue, and we're just waiting on that feedback so that we can proceed. Yes, that's true. It's not per se the government holding it up or anything like that. There is no internal issues as to why she's not being here. It's a procedural one, and we must respect the procedure agreed upon by the island governments. And so we're just waiting. But as soon as we do that, and to be honest with you, it's not the longest I've ever seen, because you're saying it's inordinately long, and I don't agree. I've been here for quite a few years, and there are processes that take their time.
Just to confirm what PS said, I remember I was state attorney. I was transferred to the magistrates court in May to work as a magistrate, and it took 3 months before I could take my oath. So these things just take some time. It takes time, sometimes.
The chief magistrate of there, so I'll say that Steve is coming in a while, Steve Vida is coming in with a question in a while. But are you aware that among the court staff, there's some mixed reaction as to holding the courts at night? So are you aware of that? Yes.
Well, different people will always have different opinions. I mean, we don't all think the same. So probably some are more inclined to it than others, but it's something that we have to give a try. We have to work at it and see how it goes. It may just assist. So I think we have to try.
I wanted to ask Chief Magistrate, you mentioned about employees who will be working nights
Right.
with transportation, but how about the weaknesses? Some form of transportation loss?
Well, that's why I said we would try our best to select matters where people live in close proximity, so that it's not an issue. And I mean, we are human beings; we have discretion, so we would know how to proceed depending on what surfaces.
And the night court is a permanent thing, is it?
Well, we are hoping that it will be, or it will become permanent.
Or just to deal with the matters of the backlog?
But that is the main purpose, to deal with the backlog. So we will see how it goes.
Okay, Mr. Minister, a question to you. You mentioned a situation where there is this backdrop outside the court to assist, but lately the situation there, at the magistrate's court. Yes, there's the canopy, but all the tiles and them are lifted up, and the state it is now, it's almost in a state of disrepair. If someone bounces their foot, the state may very well be facing some action. Yes, if you go outside there, so yes, you all may have done something, but basically it's almost like nothing now.
Okay. The thing is, let us articulate the good we have done and how can we mend things, not to bend things. And that's my role here this morning. In Dominica, we spend a lot of time bending things and not mending things. And the Labour Party administration is not about that. The Labour Party is about mending and building. As we speak, we are engaging with the Ministry of Public Works, you understand, to have a more permanent outfit. Okay, so we're not sleeping, we're very proactive, etc. Now, as we go back to the whole issue of the appointment of the magistrate, just to see how the state is insulated from that. Now, the young lady, of course, Cabinet gave the approval. The no objection was given by the Public Service Commission. Let's explain the process. And then you have to wait from the no objection again from St. Lucia. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we're waiting on right now. Once that happens, I've been advising the peers to speak, to call them in St. Lucia, and but I think they were not at work. I said, well, it could have been some issues there to ensure that we play our part. So I wanted to make that fundamentally clear. According to my former parent, may soul rest in peace, Vic Revere. Fundamentally clear. You understand? There is not any doors in Dominica. What we believe, that's the truth, And then we just go on social media. And we said we're going to say the government is holding back the appointment. She has already signed a contract, you know what I'm saying? And then we're just simply waiting on something that is administrative, that's something that's actually done for everyone who comes in as a magistrate. Okay? So let's get that fundamentally clear. On the issue about Curtis Matthew, about controversy as to the employees, nothing was actually imposed on anybody. And I want to take this opportunity and to really big up the staff members, especially the clerk, who have voluntarily presented themselves because they need a clerk. You understand? I want to big up the magistrate or the magistrates at the store of them who have said they will deny them, including the chief magistrate, but the deferred one, and Chief from Portsmouth. Well, let us celebrate people with the spirit to understand that there's work to be done, and people who put up their hands to work. I want to believe the way we were raised nowadays. And I was always told, growing up, that in life, whatever you do it to the highest degree of excellence, and money will follow you. Some people are under the false notion that you have to get money first. You have to be offered money first to entice you before you put your hands up. That's a no-no. Once there's money that attracting you, I have a beef with that. Yeah, money is important, but it cannot be the sole, you understand, motivating factor. What has to motivate you is the fundamentals of meritocracy. Based on merit and determination to work. And if you do that, endless money is going to follow you. But if you only work because money has been offered to you, that money is going to finish fast. As you get it, you're going to go to the blast and just blast it off. But you do not do it with any passion, even in love. You know what I'm saying? And so while you're there, my good friend Curtis Matthew talking about the controversy, but the officers at the Magistrate Court who put their hands up and say, I work night court. And the magistrates who put their hand up to say, I work night court. Let's celebrate that.
By the way, what days are we referring to? Is it every day of the week?
Monday to Thursday.
Monday to Thursday.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm saying my role as a minister is to take policy decisions. And the minister can issue an order and declare an high court. That's my role. And that's a government position. In terms of the scheduling of the court, the matters, that is for the chief magistrate and the court administrator. And you heard from her, she said that everything will be done to ensure that the cases that are selected will have minimal impact on people insofar as inconvenience is concerned, to include transportation issue. You're talking about Dominica is very small. We know the area. So, matter of fact, let us look at something. I heard some people asking for what study they asked for? Some study I heard some people ask for. A feasibility study to be carried out to see for night court. Some people, we are very bright, eh? Okay, right? Well, feasibility study to be carried out before we have night court. That's right. Now, the fact of the matter is, we have been talking about a number of PIs. You're talking about preliminary inquiries. This is, you have matters, for example, that are indictable, murders, whatever the case may be, rape. But before they're sent to the High Court or the Supreme Court, they have to go through the Magistrate Court stage. We have paper committal to an extent, and paper committal means, to me, we have to look at the Antigua model, again, to further amend the laws, to make paper committal be what it ought to be. But what we still see happening when you have paper committal, which means that both parties agree that the evidence on the evidence. And so what is supposed to have when you go before a magistrate, just sign off. But what we have still having trials within trials. And that undermines what a paper committal process ought to be. So let's suppose, for example, you have a number of those matters where the accused people are not remanded, but the matters are still pending before the court. So that doesn't have to disrupt the operation of the prisons, because by 6 o'clock, man should be in the respective cells. So there are a number of issues with common sense that can be applied in actually scheduling those cases. So I don't ever contain about feasibility studies before. Yes, you have to have meetings. Yes, for matter of fact, the court, through its management process, should have an idea as to some of the matters that they can immediately schedule for at least a month. Did you get my point I'm saying? But that's not for me to do. It's not for the Prime Minister to do. It's for those who are assigned with specific tasks for which they are paid to do. Our role is to provide, one, to make sure that the court is properly housed. When you see the housing the court has now, relative to what happens overseas, obtains overseas, Dominica is not second to none. Right? And I'm saying, so we're working on the personnel, and these are things we can do. Looking at our laws, these are things we can do. But we cannot come and sit on the bench. We cannot come and sit down in the court and schedule cases. Do you get my point? We cannot come and we cannot ask the minister to go with summons in a bag and go and serve people. That is for the police to do. And the bailiff. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying, if all of us play our part, instead of identifying the controversies that some people, the names, so supposed to be controversy. Understand? Everything for some people is a controversy. But I'm not very interested in people who are actually always giving currency and prominence to the negative. We have to grow, and we have to move on. Yeah, come on.
You sort of preempted a question that I was about to ask as it relates to paper committal.
So why ask it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So I just wanted to make the point that you show paper committal, because I was going to ask in terms of it, being pushed forward. But I wanted to also ask, since you mentioned the issue of people doing what they have to do, it has always been said in the court that the police are not doing all that they ought to do in terms of, one, serving individuals when it comes to serving summonses, that seems to be a major issue, which also at times causes backlog. That seems to be a major issue, and police officers also many a times charge people and do not appear in court. The defendant is there, the police officers are not there. Sometimes magistrates even have to issue warrants for arrest. And no, this is true. I have been to the court, and this too is not helping the system. You as the minister, what would you want to say to the police officers who are culprits in that matter?
Okay. The intention here this morning is to provide a solution and a pathway forward, and to mitigate against all those things that we have spoken about this morning. And my role here this morning is not to black eye anyone. Now, behind closed doors, I can recall at that meeting was about 2 years ago, and all the magistrates were there, and the police, we met at ODM, we had lunch. And that staple item was the issue of service. So we wanted the police hierarchy and the magistrate to have what they call tete-a-tete. Or some people, anybody from America, they can tete-a-tete. To spit out the problems. And they did. The issue of service. As a minister, we asked for what they call, I like, you cannot show up work without having a work plan. And if every outstation have a work plan, okay, those issues can be mitigated against. And there have been several meetings subsequent to that on that very same issue in terms of service. Now, we live in a different society. You might just as an investigator. Now, when you're the matter before the court, you are the investigator. We would not have to wait for summons. When you end up in CID, you had a court list. Isn't that so? Wherever you detail for court, because court takes precedence over its duty. Yes, sir? So it goes back to, going back to having an appreciation as to what the roles are as officers and proper supervision. You get my point? Because if you go on the 1401, chapter 1401 of the 2017 revised laws of the country, right? You will see the role of the police. And one of it is to attend court. So you do not have to be served as summons by a police officer to go to court. As a matter of fact, if you fail to go to court, you're supposed to be charged disciplinary. You get my point. But I'm not saying, so there are systems in place to mitigate against those matters. So there have been meetings, and you heard from the chief this morning, and he gave the assurance that going forward, because as I said before in our backdoor meetings, that one of the concerns that I express is that the need to ensure that you have timely service, that people are served, etc. In terms of the traffic matters, Chief Magistrate, we have to look at a new ticketing system. It's a waste of time. I think I got a sample, I think some sent kits, I believe, right? Would have been sent to the ages chambers. And if you get a ticket, why have you got a summons to come to court for? If you don't pay the ticket, there should be something to pick you up. You understand? So we're going to go in America and Canada. When you get a ticket, you don't pay it. When you hold on the road again driving, it's a run to arrest you. You get my point? So this thing about you get a drive, you park on a clip clear sign. This is gazetted. You understand? You get a ticket. So that is why, as we speak, just yesterday the Commissioner of Police sent me all the points, which I will not publicly actually say, where you're going to have, cameras. Because you need to see people who are violating the laws in every respect. But when you don't stop on a stop sign, you can hit somebody or hit an ex-vehicle. Especially that stop sign on the bridge coming from Rose Street before you take the stadium. If you're driving on Bath Road and you're traveling north, you have right of way. You have stop written right in front of you. Okay? You're not stopping. You have to stop. So if a camera picks you up there, and you get a ticket. You have to go court, and the police said, no, you get a ticket, you have to pay the ticket. So your law will be amended to reflect that. So there's a lot of time, and a whole magistrate have to sit down for have a whole list of parking tickets. This is wasting police time, and it's wasting the court time. So we have to look at making the system more efficient, right? And that is why I believe, and I'm hoping that the media is not recording that. A number of people who have driver's license driving road, I'm not sure they really went through, a test. I'm telling you, I'm not sure, because the basic rudimentary stuff, you must stop on a stop sign. You must respect a stop sign. In all this, when you got a license, we have to go on the Hill Monbrose on a standard vehicle. Understand? You have to stop that, and you have to move off without the vehicle going back. But most folks now, including some fellas, I'm not calling names, cannot drive standard vehicles. Automatic. In my book, if you can't drive standard, to be not really a driver. That's me personally. Now, a number of people cannot reverse. So you have a number of people now who drive on the road who themselves, you understand, cannot drive with due care and attention, because themselves, to me, I'm not sure how they got their license. So a number of the things they're asking the state to implement it is because drivers do not drive without due care and attention. You can put stop sign, red, they'll still try to run it. So it goes back to you being a driver, knowing the fundamentals of driving, and being able to drive. Because you used to go before, when you're in the gardens, you have to reverse. Now, once you see somebody reversing, they tell you they had the right, on the right hand drive, that was a car drive. So a number of things you have to do, Mr. Commissioner, going forward, what is driving, this ticket business there, this ticket thing has to change. A number of the issues we have at the court, and the chief magistrate attested to that, a number of traffic matters. Tickets. You park on a clear, you skip a stop sign, you get a ticket, pay your ticket. So the system will be changed to ensure that is facilitated.
This is my final question.
Don't get vexed if you can reverse.
My final question is, Mr. Minister.
Yes.
Because we're in the police setting, I will ask a question. I know what we're here for this morning.
Yeah.
Does the government intend to appoint a police chief and deputy by the 30th of September this year?
No. I mean, you had a meeting with the Prime Minister last week. And then, so the thing, I'm the minister, but unless the minister is the Prime Minister, right? So you have what you call levels of competence, right? So I heard on a program on the British radio, a couple of weeks ago, I listened to it. And a number of us are supposed to know. We do not know. I heard people talking about who appoints the chief of police and deputy, who would have to do that. I'm just listening. Bro. Right? The prerogative to appoint the chief of police is resident in the holder of the office of Prime Minister. Make nobody fool you. I heard him say, is the Prime Minister and orders? No. Understand? The Prime Minister advises the President.
I was asking, is the government prepared to appoint a police chief by the end of September?
I am saying to you, my good friend, that last week at the press conference, you could have asked the custodian of that office and the authority, therefore. You understand the question? But I'm not saying a police chief will be appointed at the appropriate time. All right? Will. Because as you see, we're departing from having, and let us put that thing into perspective. The chief of police right now is acting for less than 6 months. Isn't that some step of it? We're talking about now?
5 months.
5 months, right. No? 5 months?
3 days.
Oh, you come very well. Yeah, that's good, yeah. No. That's good. Huh? And then, yes, so it's only asking for 5 months. And then the practice is normally you give somebody some time, yeah, but that's the Prime Minister's call. Okay, and then you have Mr. Maxime, Assistant Commissioner of Police for Operations and Crime. He's a good guy. Not because he won't come there, but he's a good guy. But he is not, his position in which he's active is not vacant yet. Mr. Valerie, retirement comes to an end next year. He'll be 60 next year. So you cannot appoint anybody ACP in that position. No, I've been hearing that thing talking and addressing everyone. You can't even know how to answer the question. And I was talking about all this that have been said in the public. I'm educating the public, you know what I'm saying? Right? All these things. I would let's talk about the last set of appointment. 25 was it, Mr. Commissioner? 25? And everybody acting. But the 25 acting appointment, okay, 23 were in position where people either on leave, on study leave, or on secondment. So you cannot appoint them because the positions they're not vacant. Only 2 people were acting in vacant position, and that's the first time that they're acting. So why would you want to appoint somebody? In a vacant position, that's not the norm within the public service. But the public service in a whole, you can normally give the person some time. We're against, and that's what the government has put in place. There's what they call the public management bill that is currently been finalized. And one of the provisions in that is to ensure that nobody acts longer than 2 years. Nobody should be on secondment longer than 2 years. Because when you're seconded, the only person enjoying the benefit is you who have been seconded. And it's not fair for somebody in the police service or the fire service or anywhere in the public service to be acting for someone who was on secondment. You have to, within 2 years, you ought to make up your mind whether you want to depart from the particular position with the public service, or unless it's a special circumstance like the officers working at the financial FIU. Those kind of, and those kind of positions, but that is the position of the government. But when the appointment of the chief is made, it will be the first to know because you call me every day about it. Right? But that is the level, that falls within the level of competence of the Prime Minister. Yeah.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I want to thank everybody for coming, and here ends our press conference. Thank you so much, as usual.
What's legal? What's political? What's at stake? From battlegrounds to strongholds, CVM reporters are live in all 14 parishes and at party headquarters. TK Dawkins, positioned at the EOJ, gives you the updates as ballots turn into outcomes, and a powerhouse panel ready to break it all down. Insight, analysis, no spin. This is more than coverage. This is Jamaica's turning point. Decision 2025, only on CVM Television. September 3, see it happen.